I think you're talking about us, right? It's nothing. If these turn out to be as good as people are saying, it's going to have a tremendous impact on this country and other countries too. These treatments are currently in the advanced stages of clinical trials to ensure that they're both safe and effective for the American patients. And the nice part is we're actually doing this early. It has been going on. Research has been going on for quite some time. But, you know, usually with things like this, nothing ever happens, no matter how the research ends up. But we're changing that. This order will clear away unnecessary bureaucratic hurdles, improve data sharing among the FDA and the Department of Veterans Affairs, and facilitate fast rescheduling of any psychedelic drugs that become FDA approved. And we think many of them will go very quickly. And I have to say the most favored nations pricing that I established, has been knocking the cost of drugs down by 50, 60, 70, 80%. And also thank you and Bobby for the great job you've done. It's incredible. And the press refuses to write about it. I think it's probably as big as what we're talking about today. The drug costs are going down. And by the way, Trump RX, which is the way you go to get your very low cost drugs. But when you think in my first term, for 28 years, drug prices went up, and I got it down 1/8%. I was so proud of myself. It's the only one that in 28 years got them down. And I had a news conference to explain how great I was. I said, I'm the greatest there ever was. I got it down 1/8%. Okay? I was very proud because it only went up. For 28 years, it went up. Now I got it down a little bit. And now I got it down 50%, 60%, 70% with these guys. So now I am, you know. But nobody wants to write about it. But it doesn't matter because the people found out and they're getting, you know, we were the highest in the world by far. Sometimes would be 10 times higher than others. You'd buy a drug, I call it the fat pill or the fat drug. You'd buy it in London, you'd buy it for $10 for a pill, let's say, or a pill generally, but actually to be specific, London, $87, New York, $1,300. I said, how can that be possible? How can it be possible? $87. And a friend of mine called me up and he said, you know, he's a very rich guy. And he happens to be on this Ozempic, I guess, at the time. And it
Naseem Bahira.
वाशिंगटन से बराह रास्त मनाजिर जहां अमरीकी सदर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप मीडिया से गुफ्तगू कर रहे थे। कहा कि क्या किसी ने देखा कि स्पेन में हालात कितने बुरे जा रहे हैं। स्पेन के हालात देखकर बहुत अफसोस होता है। वाशिंगटन से बराह रास्त मनाजिर जहां अमरीकी सदर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप मीडिया से गुफ्तगू कर रहे हैं।
Out of respect, he said, I'm in London. I bought this stuff for $87. In New York, I pay $1,300. What's going on? I said, well, that's the way it is. We pay the highest prices in the world. And it sort of hit me that how ridiculous it is. Made, by the way, he checked. He had a whole big research done on it because he couldn't believe it. Made in the same factory, same plant. Everything was the same except the price. And now we are the lowest. In other words, whatever the lowest price in the world is, that's the price we pay. That's a tremendous. We'll be paying. They go up a little bit, so the 87 will go like to 120. So we'll have these massive price cuts, and they've already started. But unfortunately, the press is.
वाशिंगटन से बराह रास्त मनाजिर जहां अमरीकी सदर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप मीडिया से गुफ्तगू कर रहे हैं। कहा कि क्या किसी ने देखा कि स्पेन में हालात कितने बुरे जा रहे हैं। स्पेन के हालात देखकर बहुत अफसोस होता है। ये मनाजिर इस वक्त आपको दिखा रहे हैं GTV न्यूज की स्क्रीन पर। वाशिंगटन से बराह रास्त जहां अमरीकी सदर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप इस वक्त मीडिया से गुफ्तगू कर रहे हैं। स्पेन की हालत देखकर अफसोस होता है। अमरीकी सदर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप की जानिब से ये कहा गया है और वाशिंगटन में अमरीकी सदर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप गुफ्तगू कर रहे हैं। उन्होंने कहा कि नेटो में कोई हिस्सा न डालने के बावजूद स्पेन के मालियाती इस वक्त हालात काफी बुरे हैं। स्पेन के हालात देखकर दुख होता है। अमरीकी सदर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप की जानिब से ये कहा गया है। अद्वियात पर मबनी तिब्बी तहकीक और इलाज तक रसाई के लिए एग्जीक्यूटिव ऑर्डर पर दस्तखत कर रहा हूं, ट्रंप की जानिब से ये कहा गया है। वाशिंगटन से ये बराह रास्त मनाजिर जो इस वक्त आपको दिखा रहे हैं, अमरीकी सदर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप मीडिया से गुफ्तगू कर रहे हैं। स्पेन की हालत देखकर अफसोस होता है, उनकी जानिब से ये कहा गया है। क्या किसी ने देखा कि स्पेन में हालात कितने बुरे जा जा रहे हैं। स्पेन के हालात देखकर बहुत अफसोस होता है। वॉशिंगटन से ये मनाजिर जहां अमेरिकी सदर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप मीडिया से गुफ्तगू कर रहे हैं, उनकी जानिब से कहा गया है कि स्पेन की हालत देखकर अफसोस होता है। अमेरिकी सदर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने मजीद कहा है कि तिब्बी शोबे में इस्लाहात कर रहे हैं।
The federal government is making a $50 million research investment. In Texas, Republican leaders have already committed $50 million to the ibogaine research, and today the federal government is making a $50 million research investment in its own, and so that was approved just last night. We're also opening a pathway for ibogaine to be administered to desperately ill patients under the right to try law. That's a law that I started and I got, right to try. Very proud of that. Was done in my first term, and I used to marvel at the fact that people that were terminally ill could not get a drug. They're terminally ill. They're going to die, and the FDA, right, Marty? That's right. Okay, the FDA was protecting them from dying, but they're going to die, and so we have these incredible drugs, and they may work and they may not work, but we wouldn't let anybody get them because they were bad for your health. But these are people that were going to die. And it never made sense to me. So one of the first things I did early in my term, and it was very tough to get, actually, hard to believe. It was very tough with Congress, but they came through the Republicans. And we have something called Right to Try. And we've saved thousands and thousands of lives. That's if you're terminally ill or very ill, and there is a new drug that is not available because it's gone through the process of the FDA, and Marty's cut that process down by 50%. We're down, it used to take 12 years. And now we have it down to 5 or 6 years, and it's one of the most important things that you can do. But if you're terminally ill and there's a new drug that may work or may not work, but it hasn't been approved yet, you sign a document and you're not going to hold the country liable, you're not going to hold the drug companies or the insurance companies or anybody liable, and you have the right to try. And what it's done, and nobody wanted it, the insurance companies hated it, even the doctors, they were all afraid of it because they didn't want to be sued. But I took all of the liability out of it. You sign a document, you're not going to sue the doctor, you're not going to sue the hospital, you're not going to sue anybody, including the country, and everybody signs it like immediately. And we have tens of thousands of people on this, and we've saved thousands and thousands of lives. And what it has done, we never thought of it so much as, but what it has done is in some cases these drugs are working so good, it literally cures people that were terminally ill. But it's one of the things I'm most proud. I'm proud of a lot of things we've done, but that's one of the things we're most proud of, Right to Try. But I've always believed in ensuring that the American patients have access to breakthrough treatments and therapies with love for our veterans. And I have a real love for our veterans. I was with a group yesterday. It's incredible what they've gone through. And care for American patients. Today's order will ensure that people suffering from debilitating symptoms might finally have a chance to reclaim their lives and lead a happier life. You know, just lead a happier life. They've been through so much. So I'd like to ask Secretary Kennedy to say a few words, followed by Commissioner McCary, Marcus Luttrell, Joe Rogan, and anybody in the group that would like to speak. You're tremendous people. I know many of you, and you're really highly respected people. And the Luttrell family is well represented, but I don't mind having both Luttrells. Both Luttrells can say a few words, okay? Great people. And so, Bobby, do you want to start it off, please?
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
President.
you very much.
Good morning, and thanks to the leadership of President Trump for making this historic day possible. Under the executive order, HHS will accelerate research, approval, and access to new mental health treatments, including psychedelic therapies such as ibogaine. We're taking this decisive step to confront one of the most urgent public health challenges facing our nation, the mental health crisis. More than 14 million Americans live with serious mental illness, and 1 in 4 adults experiences a diagnosable disorder each year. Suicide has risen by more than 30% over the past 2 decades, with another peak in recent years. Among veterans, more than 6,000 die by suicide each year since 2001. We have lost far more veterans to suicide than to combat. At the same time, millions of Americans living with depression, PTSD, addiction, and other conditions do not respond to existing treatments. We owe it to our warfighters and veterans to turn over every stone to alleviate the emotional and mental health blowback from their deployments. It's disturbing to me and to the President that hundreds, in fact thousands of veterans are having to travel to Mexico or other countries to experiment with interventions that hold great promise, but for which our knowledge is still insufficient. This executive order will remove the legal impediments that block American researchers, scientists, physicians, and clinicians from properly studying these medicines and, where appropriate, establishing protocols for their safe therapeutic use. We're directing the FDA to prioritize therapies that have received breakthrough therapy designation, treatments that early evidence suggests may improve what we have today. We're expanding the use of right to try so that eligible patients with treatment-resistant conditions can access these therapies under medical supervision. We're also coordinating with the DEA and the Department of Justice to begin rescheduling reviews after successful phase 3 trials. When the FDA determines that therapy is safe and effective, patients should not face avoidable delays in access. At the same time, HHS will work with states, the Department of Veterans Affairs, and other federal partners to strengthen research and share clinical data. We will use that data to support faster evidence-based decisions. Through ARPA-H, HHS will allocate, as the President says, at least $50 million from existing funds to partner with states that are